Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Igknight Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for post-Darkwing Blast. We got some new Draco Slayer support in the latest Yu-Gi-Oh! Booster set, and it allowed us to actually update 3 of the different decks, along with the Draco Slayer deck being the 4th inclusion. But we got support indirectly for Magispectors, Ignites, and Dynamists with the 3 new cards in the set. So I figured I'd start off with the Igknight deck profile. This one focuses on a bunch of normal pendulum monsters being able to destroy one another and gain additional searches. It was a really powerful pendulum deck when we had access to the full pendulum summon from the extra deck, just being able to build it up with a bunch of different monsters. Kind of weakened now since we have to focus on, just one pendulum summon from the extra deck, but still, with the addition of the Phoenix, the Draco Slayer, it just adds for more of the consistency for the deck altogether. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck, Pendulum Monsters. We're running 3 copies of Ignis Phoenix, the Draco Slayer. Its Pendulum Scale effect during your main phase. You can shuffle 1 face-up Pendulum Monster from your extra deck into the deck, then add 1 non-Pendulum Draco Slayer or Igknight monster from your deck to your hand. So that with this play, you have the search for your Igknight cards, being able to search out any of them back to your hand. So it makes use of the destruction of the Igknight monsters, then being able to shuffle 1 back and add it. So you're recycling the cards you built up in the extra deck by adding another one back into your hand and then being able to set up the proper scales you want on the field. And with this card, it's always treated as an Igknight card. And if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Draco Slayer or Igknight monster from your deck, except for Ignis Phoenix, the Draco Slayer. And if you do, it is treated as a tuner. So this access to the tuners can give us some plays, including going into our Ignister Prominence, the Blasting Draco Slayer, a very powerful synchro monster, which was sometimes off limits in the deck since we didn't have the proper tuners to summon it. For the Igknight monsters, all of them share the same pendulum effect. They're all normal monsters. Otherwise, if you have an Igknight card in your other pendulum zone, you can destroy both this card in your pendulum zone. If you do, add 1 Fire Warrior monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So with this, you destroy both cards for the search, then adding the selected card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So even if you were to use like Xyz summons or anything like that, and they would go to the graveyard for the detach, you can add them back thanks to this card. There are variants for all the levels. So for the level 5s, I'm running 3 Igknight Cavalier and 3 Igknight Margrave for the level 5 options, all sharing either a scale 2 or scale 7. For making it so you can access all of the pendulum summons for the good majority of the monsters in the deck as well. For the level 4s, I run 3 Igknight Paladin and 3 Igknight Templar. One of the more easily accessible ones for the rank 4 plays we run in the deck also. And I also run the 3 Igknight Veteran for the level 6 monsters and 3 Igknight Gallant. I would consider running the level 3s. I didn't use them as much in the practice. I do just have 1 Igknight Squire in here for an additional monster count for it. If you were to add any of the level 3s, I would just increase the count of the actual number of cards in the deck, because a lot of them do come in handy just for search power for the remainder of the cards that we do run. For some of the other monster options in the deck, I am also running just 1 Luster Pendulum, the Draco Slayer, for the additional destruction from the Pendulum Scale, and it's another tuner monster that we can rely on along with the Ignis Phoenix, the Draco Slayer, making your other monsters tuners, but still being able to use this card pretty well with the destruction play that Luster Pendulum can provide. That is it for the main deck monsters. I'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 Ignites Unite. It's a quick play spell. You can target 1 Igknight card you control, destroy it, and if you do special summon 1 Igknight monster from your deck, you can only activate 1 Ignites Unite once per turn. So with this, you even have access to your Ignis Phoenix, since it says to special summon just an Igknight monster, and since it always is treated as one, making it another target for the special summon of this card onto the field, and giving you that option for the destruction of it on the field also. And for some of the other spell options, I run 1 Igknight Reload for the recycle power of your Igknight cards back into the deck. Basically, you reveal any number of pendulum monsters from your hand, and then shuffle them into the deck, and then draw cards equal to the number of cards shuffled, plus 1, and then you cannot draw by card effects for the rest of this turn. It's not really big of a problem for the draw power. There's really not much else in the deck that lets us draw. More just search options from what we have. And I also run 3 Summoner Arts for more search power. Very relied on since we run the level 5 and also the level 6 monsters. So an easy search for any of those monsters we might want to go into. For special summon options onto the field, I also run the 3 unexpected die, so you can just special summon out the level 4 or level 3 monsters onto the field, just giving us a resource onto the field for the normal monsters by just not controlling any monsters on the field. And I also run 1 painful decision, another search and setup by being able to add 1 to the graveyard to then add back with one of our pendulum scale effects, and also 1 reinforcement to the army. The Igknight monsters are warriors, so even just having a search for, once again, Phoenix the Draco Slayer makes it all the better also. And then moving on now to our traps, I run 3 Tyrant's Throws. I'm a real big fan of this card in the deck. It can just shut down your opponent in any of their plays. You activate it by attributing 2 normal monsters, except for tokens. Neither player can normal or special summon effect monsters. So you can just shut down your opponent if they don't have any normal monsters in their deck. And it really won't affect you much because you have a lot to rely on normal monster-wise in the deck. And running non-effect monsters can also play for some of the cards that I run in the extra deck, which I'll get to in just a bit. With the last cards that I run in the main deck for the trap lineup, just 2 Skill Drain. Once again, just a great card to shut down your opponents. You have a card that prohibits them from using or summoning out, effect monsters, whether it be through normal or special summoning. And then you have Skill Drain to stop the monster effect. So even if they try to set a monster on the field, you have this to be able to stop them from activating any other card effects. And we don't use life points for anything else, so you can at least save it for this card. And that is it for the main deck. Moving on now to the extra deck for the Synchro monsters. I run 1 of the Phoenix, Blasting Draco Slayer, and 1 Baron de Fleur. Just 2 different synchro options. If you don't have Baron de Fleur, you can always try running Borreload Savage Dragon, even since we do have some Link monsters in the deck, and it's just an option for being able to go into some of the bigger monsters, since your Ignis Phoenix, the Draco Slayer, can turn your other monsters into tuners. So with your level 4 and level 6 option, you have means to go into your Baron de Fleur, and with your Ignister Phoenix, you need 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner pendulum monster, which can easily be done along with your Luster Pendulum being the proper tuner to summon this card out, also with one of your level 4 pendulum monsters. For the Xyz monsters, I run 1 Magister Paladin, the Ascending Draco Slayer, having more play with the detached to special summon 1 face-up Draco Slayer Pendulum from your extra deck, but it cannot be used as Xyz material for a summon, but just another target for the, once again, in-name Draco Slayer Igknight monster, or even just being able to, when it succeeds, summon, add a pendulum monster from your deck to your hand for easy search. 1 Baguska for shutting down our opponent again. I run 1 Gemknight Pearl. Been testing this out as another extra deck option as a more powerful monster when you're under Tyrant's Throws, to be able to summon a non-effect monster from the extra deck using our level 4 monsters, which are, strong by some monster standards, but still being able to overlay the 2 into a 2600 attack point monster means that if your opponent does have a monster on the field, you can hopefully at least get over it thanks to this card. And also 1 Heroic Champion Excalibur for the warrior monsters we run, and also just being able to have some bigger power plays with it for some of the higher rank Xyz monsters. I run 1 Wind Up Arsenal Zenmao for the rank 5s, Ptolemy M7 for the rank 6s, and then using Gaia Dragon, the Thunder Charger, to overlay into them. You can even run Zeus if you want in this spot here. It's player preference at that point. And for the Link monsters, I run 1 Doolittle Chimera for the fire boost, since the Igknight monsters are fire for the good majority of them, and also 1 Heat of the Fire Charmer Ablaze, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, along with 1 Isolde for the Warrior Search, and also 1 Gaia Saber, the Lightning Shadow. Same premise with this card, with Gemknight Pearl just being a non-effect Link monster to go into using our weaker monsters we may have on the field when we're under Tyrant's Throws. And then lastly, for the fusions, just the 1 Dino Mister Power, the Mighty Draco Slayer. So you have a protection for your cards on the field, just needing a Draco Slayer Pendulum monster and 1 Pendulum monster. So with your Ignis Draco Slayer and even just 1 Igknight monster Pendulum summon out would be enough to get this defensive card out onto the field by just tributing these monsters and making them go to the extra deck. And then as for some of the other plays, for once again, having so many of the different Igknight monsters in the deck is a necessity just for your setup. But having the new Pendulum monster, during your terrain phase, you can shuffle 1 face-up Pendulum monster from your extra deck into the deck and add 1 non-Pendulum Draco Slayer or Igknight monster from your deck to your hand. So with this, you have the recycle power, being able to once again add this card to your hand. So if you have just 3 Igknight cards in your hand, for that initial setup, you can get this card searched out. Remember, you'll need to save the better scale. So with the Ignis Phoenix being a high scale, what you'll do is you can set one of the high scales and one of the other low scales, activating the effect of one to destroy both, setting them up in the extra deck to give you the search into your Ignis Phoenix, having this and then the other scale, which we spoke of. You will then set the scale with both of these cards. You will activate the Ignis Phoenix to then shuffle back one of the cards into the extra deck. So then you'll shuffle back one to add another one. And with this card, you have the search then to add one of the other Igknight monsters from your deck to your hand, or just adding one non-pendulum Draco Slayer, which we're relying on the Ignites for this deck. So remember that as well for that play. So you could search out one of the other proper ones then, and then with it, you have the one remaining in the extra deck and the one that you can pendulum summon back onto the field, giving you those 2 monster resources to rely on the field, which if you have your skill drain, makes it for the shutdown of your opponent's plays while still having some pretty big monsters to pendulum summon out and still being able to rely on your pendulum scales. Or if you have the Tyrant's Throws, you can then tribute both of these monsters and then have your opponent shut down, but not really shutting you down, because then you can still pendulum summon out your non-effect monsters thanks to your special summon and this card. And even though you can only get one from the extra deck, you can use Ignis Phoenix the following turn to shuffle back that remaining one into the deck to gain you another search for you to pendulum summon out the same way before you summon out that one monster from your hand. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. Like I said, we got this new support, and even just one addition to these decks definitely does help for what the overall playstyle was meant to do for them. And I hope you all enjoyed as I look into some of the other decks that we'll be making, including the Dino Mists and also the Magispectors. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira, Twig out.